We've all heard the expression, you are what you eat, but what does that really mean? Food is fuel for our bodies, but it doesn't just give us energy, it can also impact our mood and overall well being. Bottom line, food is medicine. Welcome to UT Health San Antonio Wellbeing Wisdom Podcast, a dose of learning for healthier, happier lives, brought to you by the Office of Human Resources. I am your host, Laura Gottlieb, and our topic today is food and mood. We are joined by Dr. Heidi Benavides, an advanced practiced registered nurse passionate about plant-based nutrition and lifestyle medicine to prevent, manage, and reverse chronic illness. Dr. Benavides is the founder and program director for the Green Wellness Program, Plants to Plate. She is a clinical associate professor here at UT Health San Antonio and a nationally recognized and published expert in plant-based nutrition. In addition, she has expertise in solid organ transplants, long-term care, skilled nursing, medical and surgical care, home health, hospice, and rehabilitation. She currently practices at the Nursing School Wellness 360 Clinic and teaches undergraduate nursing acute and chronic disease management. Dr. Benavides graduated with a doctorate in nursing practice at Baylor Harrington School of Nursing with a focus on the family nurse practitioner role. Welcome, Dr. Benavides. Thank you for your dedication to improving health outcomes across South Texas and for sharing your well-being wisdom on the role of nutrition in our lives, including its impact on our mental, emotional, and physical health. We're delighted to have you here with us today. So please kick things off by telling us a little bit about your professional journey, as well as your interest and expertise in plant-based nutrition and lifestyle medicine.
Well, first, I'm thrilled to be here. So thank you so much for having me talk about my passion about lifestyle measures to improve health. I really became interested in a whole food plant-based diet over 10 years ago when I had chronic disease symptoms in myself that improved or worsened with what I ate. And as I reviewed the literature, I read not only the professional literature out there with the studies that help support plant-based nutrition, but also reading the China study by T. Colin Campbell, I really started to understand the impact of anti-inflammatory foods and how we can prevent and treat most chronic diseases with dietary measures. I also read a news article about Dr. Michelle McMacken. She's an internal medicine physician and executive director of the Nutrition and Lifestyle Medicine New York City Health and Hospitals. So she initiated this program, and before they opened their doors, they had over 800 people on a waiting list. So I really knew that we needed a program to support this type of lifestyle change here in San Antonio. The UT Health School of Nursing supported this pilot program with myself as the director and Dr. Paula Christensen Silva as a nurse practitioner who oversees the care and shared medical appointments of our patients. And then finally, Dr. Christiana Morales, who's our licensed registered dietitian and researcher, who's also pivotal in providing plant-based diet education. So the program's called the Green Wellness Program, Plants to Plate. It's an evidence-based, data-driven program out of the School of Nursing Wellness 360 Clinic. We admit 5 cohorts per year. We have people socially connected, providing additional support with their health journey. The program also has been sustainable through insurance reimbursement using a shared medical appointment model, where we have a group of patients sharing one medical appointment. These cohorts are approximately 15 patients, and they have access to all 3 of us during our hour-long appointment, which really is a win-win for not only the patients, but us as healthcare clinicians, so we can feel like we're doing an adequate job with our patient education. What's wonderful about our program is we're really seeing progress being made with our personal health goals, such as reducing or deprescribing medications and improving their quality of life. In general, our patients feel better, they have improved moods, And the program also supports the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, which include a whole food, plant predominantly eating pattern, physical activity, restorative sleep, stress management, and avoidance of risky substances, and then finally, positive social connections. In addition, our program's been instrumental in providing a one-time cooking demonstration with Chef Dion, who's also a registered dietitian.
Wow. So I heard you mention plant-based diet and your program. It sounds like something that a lot of people would be interested in signing up for. Is it a matter of kind of doing a search and looking for the Green Wellness Program, Plants to Plate, to get signed up? You said there are 5 cohorts. What would be the best way to get started with a program like that?
So the easiest way is the patient or the provider can go to our website just by doing a generic search and asking for more information. And then there's a little sign up form, and I will get back with them.
Outstanding. I'm going to sign up.
Great.
I'm
Glad to
curious. So
have
you
you.
mentioned plant-based diet, and I heard you say whole food plant-based diet, and I've seen the acronym WFPB, and it's a mouthful, and kind of figuratively and literally. And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about what that is, what's included in that kind of diet. And what about it is considered healthy or healthier than maybe some of the alternative diets that we've heard about?
So I know that we've all heard the Mediterranean diet. It's been very healthy for you. If you have high blood pressure, you've heard of um, healthy heart diets and such, the DASH diet. And what and it kind of goes hand in hand with those type of diets. A whole food plant-based diet includes nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. The foods that we're trying to eliminate or minimally use are things that are made from animal products, such as fish, chicken, eggs, pork, lard, beef, dairy, and dairy including yogurt, milk, and butter, and also processed foods. We know that whole food plant-based diets have been shown to be safe for children, adults, and pregnant women. Whole food plant-based diets can easily meet the recommended macro and micronutrients needed for each individual, which includes the 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is about 10 to 11% of the calories taken in. Vitamin B12 can be consumed through fortified foods or supplementation. So when I think about processed foods, they should be minimally processed when we want a healthy diet. And processed foods is on a continuum. So it can be minimally processed or it could be all the way up to ultra processed. So when I think of a whole food, think of an apple being picked from a tree. This would be considered a whole food plant-based item, a really good choice. If I take that apple and I boil it down to make some applesauce, I now have some processing in that apple, but it's minimal, right? So the thing about the applesauce is I likely peeled it before making the applesauce, which removed much of the fiber that we need in our diet. Now, if I take that applesauce and I add sugar to the applesauce, now I'm a little bit more processed. And then the other analogy is if I make apple pie with white processed flour, white sugar, butter, and egg wash, that would be considered more processed. And then something that might be ultra processed would be the apple pie that you get from the grocery store that tastes really good, right? But it has that shelf life for several years. That would be more ultra processed. So we're trying to stay away from that processed food. Reading your food label is a really important concept when you are grabbing things off the shelf. My rule of thumb is if you see 3 or more ingredients and or if you don't understand what the ingredients are because you can't read them, it's likely not a good food choice. So I want our listeners to also be aware that there is a high demand for prepackaged plant-based food items. These items are likely highly processed, full of sugar, unhealthy fats, and or salt. So be aware when you're reading those items that are marketing to plant-based, You really do need to read the ingredient list to see, how much sugar, unhealthy fats, and salt is in there. I also know that plant-based milks are an option for some people because that is included in the whole food, but only if you make it at home. So if you make milk such as soy milk, rice milk, almond milk, or oat milk, those are good choices if you make them at home. If you get them from the grocery store, it might be a good alternative while you're transitioning, but be aware that these are also processed and they do have preservatives in them.
Good advice. And in fact, it makes me think of the expression, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. There's probably a reason why it's not a slice of apple pie a day keeps the doctor away because, it's far more processed and sugar added. And, there's a diminished return with apples that have been processed and treated with all of those things. You mentioned the Mediterranean diet. So the Netflix documentary Secrets of the Blue Zones comes to mind. What are some of the physical and mental health benefits of adopting a plant-based diet? And what other lifestyle changes do you recommend?
That's a really great question. For those people who don't know who the Secrets of the Blue Zone, what that documentary is all about, it's a wonderful documentary showing the geographic regions around the world where people live exceptionally long and healthy lives. The term was actually coined by Dan Buettner. He's a National Geographic writer who identified these areas based on research into longevity and lifestyle factors. So we know that there are many physical and mental health benefits from eating a predominantly plant-based diet. The evidence indicates that our diet significantly influences mental health. We also know that poor diet quality is a leading cause of preventable cause of poor health and also chronic disease. So what a whole food plant-based diet does, it improves cardiovascular health, it lowers blood sugar and also type 2 diabetes risk, decreases cancer risks, provides healthier weights, improves gut health and the gut microbiome, which has a lot of research-driven information now. I think a lot of people are interested in that topic. Inflammation, it improves as well to include people with allergies and asthma, and also mental health disorders. We also know that poor diets are linked to brain inflammation and also neurotransmitter chemical imbalances. So eating animal foods that produces a specific type of acid that increases the body's inflammation. It also can overactivate immune response, causing the brain to react with things like anxiety, hopelessness, and depression. So diets that are high in saturated fat and sugar are also linked with more severe schizophrenia. And there's been some evidence, not a lot, but some evidence that supports that a whole food plant-based diet improves schizophrenia symptoms, the occurrence of schizophrenia, or it can delay the symptoms. So individuals who eat a predominantly whole food plant-based diet have better mental health, and those who suffer from mental health disorders can actually restore their neurotransmitter balance, repair damage, and decrease brain inflammatory response. So these phytochemicals from these plant foods, such as the foods that we eat all the time, like apples and kale, berries and grapes, onions and green tea, those all help improve serotonin, dopamine, and also norepinephrine. So rather than resorting to medications, following a plant-based diet rich in antioxidants and polyphenols from your fruits and vegetables can serve as a very inexpensive, natural, and non-invasive therapeutic means to supporting someone's mental health. Seeking professional health, I do want to just put in a plug that mental health support is an important step in improving mental health in patients. We also know that medications may be needed to support a holistic approach and any other chronic health problems as well. The other modalities I would recommend for activities is, I said these earlier before, but increasing somebody's physical activity can improve chronic disease, including mental health. Making sure people are getting enough sleep. Some people need at least 7 to 8 hours is the average that we need to get. Avoiding risky substances, so avoiding alcohol, tobacco, illicit drugs, Meditation could be a great way to reduce stress, but there are other stress reduction activities that we can do. And then finally, surrounding yourself with friends and family that have positive social connections. So people that uplift you and provide that good mental health for you.
So it sounds like some dietary changes and overall attention on one's lifestyle is really critical for improving your well-being. I'm wondering, with so many trendy diets out there touting the benefits of, for example, a high protein, high fat diet, and also millions of advertising dollars being spent influencing the American public to consume highly processed foods, transitioning to a whole food, plant-based diet seems kind of daunting. What are some of your recommendations for making the shift, and how can your green wellness program, Plants to Plate, help for someone who wants to transition away from those types of diets and then also towards something that could help their overall well-being?
Yes. Well, let's be honest. You said it earlier. There's really a lot of money to be made by people eating animal products and processed foods. One important plug I want to put in there is that we need to do a better job with our US food policies to reflect Americans to be able to afford healthy food options. But the shift to a whole food plant-based diet is really an individual one. Some people may want to start slow. Maybe they try a meatless Monday, and others may want to dive into all of their foods are whole food plant-based food items. So for me, I think it's important for people to ask themselves what will work for them and be sustainable. One of the things that people can start to do is writing a specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound goal. So they can start. So maybe they just do 1 day a week. Maybe they do one meal a week or 1 meal a day. So it's really highly individualized. The Green Wellness Program Plants to Plate website has some valuable resources, including videos on how to shop for a whole food plant-based diet. There's some documentaries, some publications, and more information about how to start. Like I said, our lifestyle modification program, it does require quite a bit of a commitment, 6 months with weekly medical appointments for 3 months, and then we go monthly after that for the next 3 months. There are 3 individual medical appointments that are individualized with fasting labs with the nurse practitioner, one before starting the program, one at month 3, and then at the end of the program. And what we do is we like to compare metrics. So how is their body mass index, their waist to hip ratio, their cholesterol, their inflammatory markers. We kind of monitor them throughout the program to see how they improve. And then we also have 2 individual visits with the registered dietitian individually to meet with the patient. So all of those things can help somebody transition to a whole food plant-based diet. And like I said, everybody's a little bit different as far as how fast they want to start the transition. But I think those are some good starting points for a patient.
Yeah, it sounds like there's no right or wrong. You can gradually transition, like you said, meatless Monday, or if you're the type to jump with both feet in, you can just kind of go right in and adopt the new nutrition guidelines. And it sounds like your program provides a lot of support and it requires a lot of checking in. I wanted to ask, are those shared appointments, are they virtual? Are they in person for someone who's, busy working professional? Are they accessible for someone like that?
That's a good question. Right now, they're only in person. We are working with Epic to provide a telehealth option for shared medical appointment, but we have not been able to get that instituted quite yet. And then eventually our program will be commercialized in a way that anybody can join from anywhere over the world. And it could be synchronous or asynchronous, and they
Mm,
can learn about the 6 pillars on their own, which would be a great benefit to all.
nice. It sounds like you're building a really good supportive community by having them cohort based in this way. I think that's wonderful. And tell me, could you share with our listeners what a typical whole food plant-based diet daily menu looks like. I'm wondering, does it consist of three main meals per day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner with snacks in between, or is it more six smaller meals throughout the day? What's on your recommended menu? And I'm also curious about beverage options. What's included with beverages?
So again, very highly individualized. And from what I understand from our dietitian, there really isn't a lot of research on how many meals per day, people need to eat. So I think if you normally eat 3 meals a day, then stick with that plan with snacks in between if you need to. Some people only eat, twice a day. Some people eat 6 smaller meals per day. So again, highly individualized, but the main factor is the foods that you're eating. So when you look at your plate, 50% should be mostly vegetables with some fruits, and it should be a variety of colors. That way it supports the variety of micronutrients that you need to eat. 25% of your plate should be some type of whole grain. So think of your brown rices, your quinoa. And then we have the other 25% should be some type of plant protein. It could be beans, legumes, it can be tofu. There's a variety of plant-based proteins out there. Food should be seasoned with herbs and spices, and you can season also with citruses. Trying to stay away from salts, oils, and sugars if at all possible. We know that water should be the primary source of fluids that we drink. However, that might get boring for some people, but we can add fruits and vegetables to kind of flavor their water. It's a more natural way than opposed to finding those, I would say, processed type drinks that have a lot of chemicals to flavor the food. So let's give you an example. So let's just say that a female and I want to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. Maybe the recommended calorie intake for that person might be 1,200 calories per day. What that might look like is maybe for breakfast, I have a blueberry oatmeal breakfast that's made with soy milk, chia seeds, and maybe some frozen blueberries topped with some oats. And then maybe for lunch, I have a chickpea salad sandwich. And for dinner, I do a vegan spaghetti made with homemade marinara sauce and also maybe some spaghetti squash.
I love it. My mouth is watering. I must be hungry. That sounds fantastic. And I love how you mentioned the five different colors of foods or, paying attention to different colors of foods. Maybe I inserted the five. I heard somewhere that it's good to eat five different colors of food. So if you think about it, red, yellow, orange, green, blue. So certainly something to strive toward. And typically found with your plant-based foods. So you wouldn't find that in processed foods which doesn't usually have the wonderful colors of fresh food.
Yes, I love that idea of the 5 colors. I have heard that as well.
Awesome. I wonder why so many people struggle with either overeating or undereating. There's this kind of communication between your gut and your brain signaling, I'm full, I'm overfull, I haven't eaten enough. And I'm wondering if there's any role for mindful eating, thoughtfully chewing your food, for example. What thoughts do you have on that in terms of getting the right quantity and quality of food by being more mindful?
That's a great question. Well, I want to also say that eating disorders can affect people of all ages, all races and ethnic backgrounds, body weights and genders, and even people who appear healthy can have eating disorders and be extremely ill. People with eating disorders can be underweight, average weight, or overweight. We don't know the exact cause of eating disorders. It's not fully understood. We think research based, we think it's a combination of genetic, biological, behavioral, psychological, and social factors can increase a person risk. So for instance, if you go back to even just serving sizes back in the 1950s of what a typical meal would look like, I mean, it's 3 times the size of what it is now. So those social factors can definitely influence how much food that we eat. One of the things that we can do is something called mindful eating, and it's a practice that involves paying attention to the experience of eating in the present moment without judgment or distractions. It really encourages individuals to kind of savor their food It helps us connect with their bodies and then make conscious choices about their eating habits. So there's some key principles of mindful eating. One of them is engaging in all of your senses. So people should pay attention to what they're seeing, what their smells of their food are, how the food tastes, and also what the texture of their foods are. One of the things that might be difficult for some people is slowing down. So eating very slowly and chewing your food very thoroughly is a mindful eating practice. Focusing on the present moment, so avoiding distractions such as phones, TVs, or even other thoughts. And then listening to your body, paying attention to hunger and fullness cues. So are we really hungry or not? And if we are, then we need to eat. But if we're not really full, if we're not really that hungry, then maybe we need to hold off a little bit on eating. And then eat without guilt or shame, accepting that every once in a while we're going to overeat and we may make some unhealthy choices, and that's just a part of life. So not feeling too guilty about that. So there's some benefits for mindful eating, that, including it can improve weight management. So by paying attention to hunger and fullness, individuals may consume less overall. We know that mindful eating also helps with stress and anxiety. So it promotes relaxation and reduces stress hormones. It increases satisfaction with food. So people are savoring the experience of eating and also appreciating the food more fully. It helps improve digestion. So eating slowly and chewing the food more thoroughly can help in the digestive tract. And then it also enhances body awareness. So paying attention to body sensations can improve body image and also self-esteem. So one may ask, like, how do I practice this mindful eating? I want to try it. So one of the things we can do is start small. So begin by practicing mindful eating, maybe just one meal during the day. You need to set some intentions. So before you eat, take a moment to set intentions for the meal, such as I'm going to eat slowly, and I'm also going to pay attention to hunger cues. Another helpful hint is to use a timer. So if you can set a timer for 10 minutes, do all of the practices that we've been doing. So slowing down your eating for 10 minutes, eat very slow, stop eating, and for 5 minutes, don't eat or drink anything else. And if you're still hungry, then you can continue to eat slowly until you're not hungry anymore. The other thing you can do with mindful eating practices is to put down your utensils between bites. It gives yourself some time to pause and reflect. And then notice your thoughts and feelings. So observe any thoughts or emotions that might arise while you're eating and really kind of let them go without judgment. And then finally, experiment with different techniques. So you can try taking smaller bites, chewing more thoroughly. So one practice that you might want to do is chew your food 20 to 30 times. You can also use a smaller plate. So instead of getting the normal plate that you get, maybe get a salad plate so that your plate looks fuller.
Those are wonderful suggestions, and limiting distractions, I think overall is a great idea. And even, some boundaries around perhaps no eating while driving, no eating in front of the TV, which is, kind of mindless eating, the opposite of mindful eating. So really appreciate your guidance there. With the many competing demands of our modern busy lifestyles, I mean, we're all sort of pulled in so many directions now. What are your thoughts about mail order meal plans as a means to simplify meal preparation and all of that and still try and eat healthy? And do you have any other suggestions for different types of shortcuts that make meal planning easier for someone who has adopted or is transitioning to a whole food plant-based diet?
Yes, so I believe in the mail order meal plans. They can be helpful for many people. It really helps with portion control, and it provides us with trying new foods, a variety of foods that maybe we've never done before. There are some concerns I feel with meal prep services. They may have a higher impact on the environment related to more plastic and increasing landfill waste. So just something to be mindful about. But we do have a variety of meal delivery plans for vegans, and I'm going to list a couple here in case you would like to know them. The Purple Carrot is a very popular one. Home Chef Green Chef, and Factor. These are just a couple that you can go online and order their services. San Antonio has a couple of local restaurants also to help with meal prep service, and that includes Green Vegetarian Cuisine, which is by the Quarry, and then Fuel F33D. So there's several of them in San Antonio or in the Bexar County area that you can look into. There are other ways that someone might be able to help with the demands of our busy lifestyle. There's a website called eatthismuch.com, and it helps generate a daily menu on your meals based on your required calories, if you have any dietary restrictions, and also how many meals someone might eat per day. So basically, you put all that information in there. It's a free website, and it's going to generate a meal plan. And what's nice about this meal plan is that recipes come with a meal. So you can do this in advance if you want to. And if you don't like the meal, the item that they're choosing for you, you can just say regenerate and it will go ahead and make you a new recipe. So I love that. There's some other helpful websites that I wanted to have our listeners explore. One is Forks Over Knives. They have some great recipes. Sharon Palmer, she's a registered dietitian and chef, I believe. Love Veg is another one. And we have Oh She Glows. And finally, Nora Cook. So those are just a couple of websites that might help somebody with recipes or planning. Forks Over Knives also has a quarterly magazine with stories of people improving their health and also some really good recipes with some pictures. And then finally, one thing that I've recently explored is artificial intelligence. That's been a lot of fun to explore. So I can ask it to generate a 7-day whole food plant-based meal plan with recipes. I can also add in things like asking AI, I have these food items in my refrigerator and pantry. Please plan a 7-day or a 5-day whole food plant-based meal plan with recipes with these items I have in my refrigerator. So a lot of new things coming out with AI that we can find helpful to our very busy lives.
Wow, I never even would have thought that AI could be our friend in getting healthier with a whole food plant-based diet. That's fantastic. And I love the idea of just taking an inventory what you have in your refrigerator and then having it give you suggestions on what you could produce from that. So that's wonderful. This has been incredibly enlightening, Dr. Benavides. Thank you for joining us and definitely making lives better with your work and sharing your well-being wisdom with us today. Please tune in next time when we discuss summertime blues. Until then, take good care.